Hello, good day everyone. I am Sabarinathan Sampath, Senior Vice President with RackNap, welcoming you all to this webinar. Thank you for sharing your valuable time today and for taking part in this webinar. And what we would be covering today is to understand how CSPs can maximize profits, and also to look at the new CSP requirements, what Microsoft is putting in as well. So those are some of the things what we will cover today. In terms of the detailed agenda, we will focus on the new direct billing requirements from Microsoft. What do CSPs need to do? And why is Microsoft bringing in these kind of requirements in? And where does RackNap fit in the overall picture, helping the CSPs as well? And also adding on to that, we'll look at the GTM approach, what CSPs will need to adopt to be able to drive customer acquisition. And then the most important aspect is to look at capabilities of the platform, RackNap platform as such. So there's some of the things what we will cover today. So before we get deep into the actual swing of things, thought we'll just do a quick poll to understand the spread of audience who we have right now. So I'll just do a quick poll right now, and please feel free to type the answers directly on the screen. I think there are a couple of people mentioning that there may be some audio issues. Can you please confirm if you can hear me? Okay, perfect. Okay, I've got a couple of confirmations that you are able to hear me. That's perfect. So just going back to the poll as such, the audience have confirmed that 57% of the number of attendees here, they categorize themselves as a direct CSP, which is perfect, aligning with the scope of the webinar, what we want to do. That's perfect. And then if you look at the direct bill requirements as such, let's look at what these are. So Microsoft, if you are a CSP, you would have received a communication from Microsoft mentioning that you as a CSP, a direct CSP, need to demonstrate that you provide at least one managed services or one IP as a part of your offering. They don't want you to be just a simple reseller just providing licenses. They want you to be able to add on your IP with it. That's one of the reasons why Microsoft is enforcing this. The other aspect is, if you as a CSP want to scale up with respect to your growth in terms of revenues, etc., you need to have a solid foundation with respect to a billing infrastructure and automatic provisioning infrastructure as well. So these are two mandatory requirements which Microsoft enforces on direct CSPs. They go into effect from the August the 31st. So when your next renewal opportunity comes with Microsoft, you will need to have these two in place. These are some of the strict requirements which Microsoft has put in as well. Okay. Perfect. If you look at it, what are the benefits these can drive for you as a CSP? Why is Microsoft doing it? Microsoft is doing it because they want you to be successful, because Microsoft, Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, mentioned 97% of their revenue comes from partners. So you as a CSP need to be successful to be able to make Microsoft successful. So Microsoft is enforcing some of these requirements, and these can benefit the CSPs in a way that it will help improve their operational efficiency. They help to reduce their operational cost as well, by whereby they're able to automate a number of things and bringing that efficiency in. And then a simplified onboarding process, which means that the customer is able to get onboarded quickly, purchase your services as well. And last but not the least is, don't be just a commodity sales partner, so start bundling IP as well. That's one of the mentions benefits of this for the CSP. What do CSPs need to do to comply with this? So they need to start looking at how they can add an IP to their portfolio, and they would need to demonstrate that they're able to, have a provisioning and billing infrastructure by choosing a platform like RackNap. So with which they are able to comply with that requirement and continue as a direct CSP. If in the scenario that they are not able to comply with this requirement, then Microsoft intends to push them to be an indirect reseller by purchasing from an indirect provider. So two options for the CSP: either comply and then and continue as a direct CSP and enjoy better margins, or start continuing via an indirect provider as well. Okay. So going back to where RackNap can fit in the overall scenario. So RackNap is a cloud services automation platform, targeted at CSPs, be it direct, be it indirect, be it distributors, or telco system integrators and hosters. So in this particular webinar, we will focus on CSP direct partners and potentially some of indirect resellers as well, how the platform is able to help them. And also, RackNap is heavily focused on automating the provisioning of cloud services and build them as well, mainly under the CSP program. So RackNap is integrated with the Partner Center APIs, with which you as a CSP can offer Office 365 under the CSP program, Azure under the CSP program. Aside to the Microsoft offering, RackNap is also a true multi-cloud service provider, offering AWS integrations for the CSPs to offer that, or IBM Cloud, etc. as well. Okay. The most important thing is, aside to all of these offerings, RackNap helps with, for example, additional IP-based products which you would introduce as a part of compliance to this need. So when you are launching your own IP, you can start building that as well via RackNap. Okay, so provisioning and billing is one of the key aspects of what RackNap is able to do. Aside to this, RackNap also has built-in support management capabilities, whereby you as a CSP are mandated by Microsoft to provide support. So the customer, when he's logging a ticket, he will log in under the support ticket management tool, or you can look at your sales forecast, etc. as well in the platform. Okay, so let's just take a quick poll as well right now to understand, where are we with respect to these compliance needs. So if you are a CSP, which you are, please confirm, are you affected by any of these direct bill requirements what Microsoft is enforcing? Let's give about 10 more seconds for the poll to conclude. Okay, so if you look at it, let's conclude the poll right now. An overwhelming majority of the attendees here, about 73%, have confirmed that they are affected by these new CSP direct bill requirements. Okay, so now let's quickly move on. Okay. So let's look at the evolution of RackNap. How did it come into existence? Just so that you get the context of how the product has evolved. Zenith Live is a hoster based out of India, or was a hoster based out of India. They have been in the business for about 17 years, and during the course of their business journey, they were looking at some kind of a tool to be able to manage their back-end business functions and to be able to provision the services in an effective way for their customers. They realized that doing it manually does not bring in that efficiency, etc. So they decided they have got to address that problem somehow, and they started developing a tool by themselves. So they started developing a tool, and then they started using it by themselves, and faintly started off with offering hosting services via that tool. And then subsequently, when Microsoft started rolling out the CSP program, they became one of the first CSPs to be accredited under the CSP Tier 1 program. And the RackNap was born out of a need by Zenith Live, and that's how the product came out into the market. So in 2016, the product was full-blown launched in the market and signed up a few customers since then as well. So to summarize how RackNap evolved, it evolved as a solution to satisfy the need of a hoster who transformed himself into a CSP. And so the product has been developed by a CSP addressing the problems of the CSP. And since the RackNap evolution, RackNap has acquired customer base globally and able to address the pain points of the CSPs. And one of the primary focal points of this webinar is also to showcase how it is able to address that as well. So that's what we will focus on today. So going back to the problem statement as such, how these services are being delivered right now. These services are currently delivered right now by our distributors under the indirect CSPs or by our direct CSP to end customers. And this is precisely the reason, if you see the red blocks in here, quite a lot of manual processing goes on in this activity of delivering this to the customer. And this is precisely the reason why Microsoft is mandating a billing and a provisioning infrastructure to manage the delivery effectively. Okay? So the problems effectively which we are able to see as a part of this workflow is lack of automation, which actually prevents a good customer experience and prohibits or disables any ability for you to cross-sell or upsell your services to the customer. And also, with the cloud becoming a commoditized product, it's very important that you stand out from the crowd and then be able to distinguish yourself from others as well. So a lot of CSPs, with them coming into the market, it's important that you focus on ensuring that your cost of customer acquisition is low. So RackNap helps you with the ability to use digital marketing to be able to have enhanced customer acquisition rates. Okay. And also, the last but not the least is, CSPs sometimes they are focused on just running their business only, where just offering commoditized license-based sales do not necessarily bring them enough margins. So RackNap helps the CSPs by offering value add or high value managed services to the CSPs themselves, whereby they can sell that to their end customers with a higher margin. Right. So the problem statement, what RackNap looks at addressing is automation, customer acquisition rate dropping, and then inability to offer any high margin services that's offset by offering managed services as well. So where does RackNap fit in the whole ecosystem? So in the direct sale model, the OEMs, they sell to resellers, they sell to SMBs. RackNap is able to cater to that. And also we have a few in the audience who are indirect resellers as well. So RackNap is able to address the need of the indirect resellers as well. So, and also RackNap can help indirect providers as well. So which means it handles the plethora of operations that B2B offers, business model offers, and the B2C model as well. So RackNap is integrated with a few distributors with which the reseller, the indirect reseller, can procure his products or services via that via that provider using RackNap. Okay. I hope that's giving you a context of how RackNap has evolved, what is the problem statement it is trying to resolve, and also where it fits in the overall supply chain. Okay. So this is an overall functional architecture of what RackNap is able to do. So when customers, they want to buy directly from the CSP, they go to their marketplace, they be able to select Office 365 Azure licenses, and then be able to provision it automatically. And all other provisioning, billing, and self-service portal management and everything, they're handled by all the management layers from behind using these individual modules here. Aside to the cloud offerings, RackNap is also helping CSPs to be able to, for example, sell their traditional services which they may have been offering in the past. For example, they would have acquired these number of customers by selling these by selling these kind of traditional services in the past, which could include, for example, domains, which is pretty much needed by every particular business who wants an online presence, or WordPress hosting, reseller hosting, etc., etc. So a CSP can combine traditional services plus new age cloud services plus his own IP to be provisioned via the platform and then be built via the platform as well. So thereby helping you to comply with the Microsoft's direct bill requirements as well. Okay, so going back to how it is able to solve the problem is, if you look at it here, RackNap gives the overall ability to actually help you with digital marketing activities, helping with customer acquisition, helping managed services offering to you as a CSP, and automation at its core. So with this well-rounded approach of offering all the three helps you to be successful in the marketplace. Okay. So some of the low-level details around what is actually included in this GTM approach, right? So how do you acquire more customers? You need to have a more reach, which is via social media, blogs, etc. How do you increase engagement? Whereby you publish blogs, you publish, you run campaigns, you run webinars like this to be able to have an engagement with your customer. And also from a conversion perspective, you're also able to offer free trials or promotions as well, with which you can give the feel for the customer to be able to look at the product offering, how good it is, and then be able to help him and convert it to a tangible sale. So these are some of the components included in a comprehensive GTM offering. And also, if you look at a subscription billing and automation tool, this is what RackNap is all about, where you focus on an SEO optimized marketplace for the CSP, a self-service portal for the customer to manage his services, and subscription billing. This is primary focal point, which is what helps you to comply with this Microsoft need. Okay. And then the other aspect is the managed services aspect, where, as and more customers start using Azure or any other cloud services, if you do not have the in-house skill set of resources to be able to manage this, or if you want to ramp up at a much more faster pace, RackNap is able to afford you help with which you can offer this managed services to your end customers. Okay. So let's quickly look at the GTM approach, and then we'll look at a live demo of the platform. So what does RackNap really do to GTM approach is, when visitors come to your website, they potentially could turn up to be a lead. You want to nurture them to an opportunity and then to a sales, after which they become a customer. Once they are a customer, you really need to make sure they are a satisfied customer with you. You would want to retain them for the longer term, and then want to be able to upsell and cross sell new products as well. So at every step of the way, right from cycle 1 to cycle 6, there are multitude of activities which RackNap helps you to deliver, so with which you can attract more customers, and your cost of acquisition starts going down, and your rate of acquisition starts increasing by running a multitude of activities like this. They run hunting campaigns, technical webinars, do video testimonials with your successful customers, etc., as well. So RackNap helps you with all of this. Okay. Now, looking at the next piece, which is the automation piece, let's quickly dive into a live demo of the platform to understand, how this is actually able to help you. Okay, so if you look at this website here, this website is basically a marketplace for a CSP tier one, Zenith Live, based out of India. They are offering a multitude of products. For example, they're offering, IaaS-based offering, including Azure, etc., SaaS-based offerings, including Office 365, Microsoft 365, etc., as well. And as Microsoft demands that you need to demonstrate that you have some managed services offering or an IP, it's this provider, CSP Tier 1, is also offering some of these as well. Okay, so when we deploy RackNap for you, you will get a white labeled website like this with your own logo and branding, etc., where you can display your products and portfolio for sale to your end customers. Okay. And one of the important aspects is being the ability to be able to offer a free trial as well, whereby whenever a customer comes to your portal, you can offer them this trial to give him the opportunity to try out the product what he's going to buy. So RackNap helps you offer the trial option to the customer as well, whereby the customer just needs to put in a sample domain and then be able to actually make a purchase directly from here. Okay. So in the scenario that you want a customer to go and purchase a standard product, you just define the products in here. So Microsoft has huge number of SKUs which it's offering. So what RackNap is able to do is help you to define some plans from that list. You are more than welcome to display every plan, but depending on your target segment, you can decide which plans you want to offer to your customer base and then get them displayed in here. So for example, this is the price what it's showing is the retail price for the end customer, and RackNap is able to handle multiple currencies as well, whereby you could transact in any currency of your choice, and your pricing list can also be automatically uploaded from via the pricing sheet what you receive from Microsoft in the Partner Center portal. Okay, so I'm just simulating a behavior of an end customer who is going to purchase a product from here quickly. So he's just clicking on order now, and then he'll be able to, choose the appropriate Microsoft domain. The domain availability check happens with the Microsoft portal, and once that availability is confirmed, the customer is able to choose the number of licenses whatever he would like to choose here. And then if you look at it here, this is the total price, and then RackNap has the ability to offer monthly and yearly options as well. For example, now this customer has now added this particular product to his cart. And then if he's an existing customer, he puts in his credentials in here, else he goes and creates a new account for himself. So there are some questions coming in asking, I already have a customer, how do I handle them? Or will the customer who is entering here get registered in the Partner Center portal automatically? Those are some of the questions coming in. So to clarify, whenever a customer creates an account in RackNap, because we have automatic integrations enabled, RackNap is able to provision this customer directly in the Microsoft Partner Center portal. So which means you do not have to do this task of adding them again separately. Okay, so now I'm just simulating the behavior of an existing customer. So I'm just putting that existing customer details in here. Click on log into the portal, and then you look at, depending on the residency, etc., the appropriate taxation procedures apply, and you can define taxes per region, per country, etc., as well. Okay, and if you look at some of the payment options, what's available, the customer can pay all of the amount via different payment gateways. RackNap is integrated with a few global gateways and a few local gateways as well. The customer chooses one of the options and clicks on pay now, which means he's having to pay for the service before the service is getting provisioned. It's a classic prepaid model of purchase. Aside to this, RackNap also offers a pay-per-use model as well, whereby the customer pays at the end of the billing cycle. So these are the two popular models as well. And then from an Azure standpoint, RackNap offers a pay-per-use model, which is where the customers build based on actual consumption as well. The three models RackNap supports right now, and in the scenario that the customer is not happy with doing online transactions, he can check on one of these options, which is this offline payment mode, and then he can send a check or a draft or a direct bank transfer if needed, and then continue with the processing thereafter. Okay, so I'm going to simulate the behavior of a customer who's just doing an online purchase. When he clicks on pay now, it redirects the customer to the payment gateway, and services get provisioned as well. Okay, so now with this being handled, let's quickly look at how an Azure purchase works out. I'm starting to see a few questions on the Q&A chat option. Let me just finish off a couple of things in here, and I'll revert back to the questions in a little bit. Okay, so Azure is typically offered on a pay-per-use model because customers read the whole objective of offering a cloud service defeated if you want to do everything on a prepaid model, right? So the customer now actually wants to wants to just subscribe to an Azure subscription. He just goes in here and clicks on sign up here. So if you look at this here, the customer has just added an Azure subscription with no workload associated yet. He's not giving indication he's going to have a VM created, etc., etc. He's just creating empty subscription. And if you see here, there is some concept of Azure Fund. Okay, if you look at a typical pay-per-use model, uh, customers they pay at the end of the cycle, which means there is always an inherent risk for the CSP that they may have to foot the bill if the customer does not pay up. Okay, so this could be a very risky from a financial standpoint for the CSP. So there is a budget limit or a credit limit or a e-wallet, whatever you want to call it. So that is available for configuration by the CSP, which means the CSP can demand this kind of a deposit from the customer or assign this kind of a budget limit in here as well. So when this is done, the customer chooses the appropriate domain to be associated with the subscription, and then continues with the purchase. So here, to summarize what we have looked at so far, we looked at the direct build requirements from Microsoft. We looked at how RackNap is able to satisfy that requirement via, for example, a marketplace where the customer can go and purchase the products and services directly from here. Okay, so now let's move on to the next customer journey, which is after the purchase, he has got his services provisioned. Now quickly, let's look at what he can do with those services. Okay, so for example, RackNap gives him an end user control panel to manage his services. Okay, so this end user control panel, for example, gives him the ability to understand what are the services he has purchased, what are the support options, support tickets he can log, etc., and the billing options available in front of him. So if you look at the current services, this lists every single service, whatever he has with him or he has purchased from you as a CSP. So this will again be white labeled as well. And these are teasers for the customer to try out new plans. For example, with one click, the customer can be provisioned with a trial whereby he can actually get an email triggered. He'll get his login credentials for the portal, and he can look at how Office 365 works as well. So with one click, you can get that activated. Okay? So going back to the services option here, these are the list of all the services or the plans he has purchased. Let's look at one plan, which is the Office 365 plan in here. So with the fact that the customer has made a purchase from here, now you can see the service where has actually been provisioned. The customer has provisioned the business essential plan with this particular domain. His particular login details, etc., are displayed here. The date on which service was provisioned, the billing cycle is a 1-year cycle. How much did he pay now, and how much will he pay subsequently? Right? And the most important aspect is you are giving or empowering the customer to be able to renew his services directly from here for any period, whatever you choose to as well. Okay. And also the other important aspect is the amount of time what you have to waste, I would say waste or spend in actually doing one upgrade for the customer manually is significantly is higher than the profit what you will get from the transaction. So you would rather give that task to the customer to upgrade it by himself. So RackNap gives the customer the ability to upgrade or downgrade licenses by himself. He can renew his service by himself, and also he'll be able to look at his bills and pay for it himself directly from here. So this is a self-service portal where the customer is able to do all of these transactions. Okay. Aside to the Office 365, let me quickly show you something on Azure. So for example, the customer has also got an Azure subscription provision. And here, if you see here, these are the details of the subscription provision. And with the subscription being provisioned, the customer does not have any actual workload associated yet. So what the customer does now is he typically goes to the Microsoft CSP portal to be able to consume any service what he likes, right? Because Microsoft, being a large organization, they continue to have new feature releases, new services released every day, every other day, right? So why not give the opportunity for the customer to consume anything and everything directly from the portal? That's pretty much what we are doing. So we're getting the customer to go and consume any service directly from the Microsoft portal, and RackNap is able to collect the usage on a regular basis and display that in here. So for example, when you choose a particular date and then click on show, this is typically how a report, a transaction report would look like. It includes resource categories. We also have resource groups as well right now. It gives details of virtual machine storage, networking, data management, the actual resource consumed, the actual consumption for this reporting period, and the total cost. And what is this rate option? This rate is nothing but Microsoft's cost price topped up with your markup. So let's say you have a 45% markup on top of, let's say, or for including managed services, then this price is Microsoft cost price to you, topped up with that 45%. And the most important aspect is, if you look at this value here, this value is the total consumption value for this reporting period. And as we saw earlier, the customer had a budget limit, and what RackNap does is compare the usage of what you see here against that budget limit and find out if the customer is within his threshold limit at all. So if the customer hits a particular threshold limit, let's say 70% of the consumption, then you can trigger an alert to the customer to say, hey customer, you have consumed 70% of the allocated budget. Please either top up or be wary of consuming anything more, whatever you choose to, right? So there are different thresholds you can set on the platform, and also there is ability in the platform to actually go and suspend that subscription for over consumption as well, right? So I'm just going to show you, what kind of ability the RackNap offers for you as a CSP to be able to, alert the customer and minimize your risk. So this is an alert mechanism where for Microsoft Azure Cloud, if the customer consumes 70% of the credit, you can trigger any alerts based on what you see here. You can suspend his subscription based on any, whether he's overusing it, etc., etc. So you as a CSP have the control over it. Okay, so aside to this, one of the key aspects of what Microsoft demands is you need to have the ability to offer support to your CSP customers and give them a tool to be able to manage that interaction as well. So RackNap has a ticketing module where your customer, you as a CSP, your customer will be able to log tickets against a particular service and then be able to say, I'm having a problem with a particular module, etc. Please help me resolve this. So what RackNap does is it gives you some self-help articles to be able to find the root cause of the problem. So these are some predefined articles, and obviously you as a service provider will have the control to add new self-help articles. So this helps you to bring down the cost of support operations, thereby running an efficient business. Okay, so RackNap gives you that ability to do that as well. And then from a billing perspective, RackNap gives you the ability to invoice the customer appropriately, because this is one of the single biggest pain point of a CSP. The CSP does not have the resources, or it does not have the accuracy to be able to generate invoice, because if you're doing it manually, you may be prone to errors. And how many customers can you do it manually? It's not practically possible. So RackNap helps you to generate an invoice from the platform based on actual consumption, like this what you're seeing here, or based on the prepaid model of Office 365, etc., what we saw earlier as well. So this is a typical invoice of a customer who just made a purchase, and with all the taxation options, etc., etc., as well. Okay, and also RackNap has full ledger capability as well, whereby all invoices, debit note, receipt, credit notes, etc., they're all appearing in one place so that you can look at the transactions at the account level as well. Okay, so to summarize, what we are looking at is the end customer portal, where he's able to self-serve his needs by managing his services here, managing the support options, and billing as well. Okay. I hope that's given a sense of the capabilities what the customer is able to consume from the platform. And now, if you look at, for example, the abilities what you receive as a CSP, right? So let's quickly look at, for example, let's look at the abilities for you as a CSP, right? So when, as you can see here, this is the control center for you, for your admin people, for your staff, you as a CSP, right? So as you can see, there are many options available on the top. So because I'm logged in as a super administrator, I can see multiple options here. But when you are transacting, or when your team is using it for your organization, you will have some predefined roles for your team, and depending on the role what you configure, you will be able to see only the appropriate tabs or menus at the top. Okay, this is pretty fundamental and vital as well. And now if you look at some of the reports, etc., whatever you're seeing, there are plenty of reports available to understand the health of your business, right? So if you look at, let's say, the total order volumes here, it'll give you an indication of the trend in terms of the procurement process, in terms of how many orders are coming in, etc., as well. So which helps you to plan your procurement cycles, which helps you to plan your cash collection cycles and whatnot and things like that, depending on the order flow. So it'll also give you indication about whether how long has been the waiting times for each of these particular orders as well, if they're not executed on time. Similarly, there are plenty of reports like that in here. I wouldn't go into each one of them, but just to give you a flavor of this, okay, this is primarily a CFO dashboard. Now, looking at, for example, from a sales perspective, if you want to look at, your fresh sales, your renewal sales, etc., etc., you can look at them by looking at this graph here. And also, for example, this gives you itemized fresh sales, renewal sales on a per product as well. So, which means you can start to understand whether your hunters are doing their job, whether they're farmers in terms of, or your renewal teams are doing the job, etc., as well. So these are, one of the plenty of reports that's available on the platform to be able to understand the broader capabilities as such. So now, if you look at, let's say, a end customer's record, how would it be stored on the system, and how we can retrieve information against that customer in one place, right? So I'm just searching a test demo customer here. And this, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, depending on your roles and privileges, you'll be able to see the appropriate options available for you as an admin person, right? So if you look at this particular customer, so depending on the product or services, you can do, or depending on your roles, you can perform different functions, right? This is the name of the customer, the account ID, the company ID, and for example, all the details relevant for the customer, his profile details, whether he's in credit or debit, visually represented here, and how many services due for renewal the next 7 days. It's very important for an account manager to know what is coming up for renewal and when, which means he can start looking at, upselling, cross-selling, helping the customer to upgrade, etc., etc. List of all the services, the variety of services, whatever he has purchased, ticket number of tickets logged, and all the email communications, etc., etc., as well. And all of these email communications, for example, they are all white labeled as well. So which means you have control over, how you design this, how you white label it, etc., as well. So all of these are white labeled, and these are triggered at various touch points as well. And if you are capturing customer identification documents, etc., then you can capture them in here. And also you can activate an Office 365 trial directly from here, and then within one click you can get him to start trying out a particular trial option instantly. Okay, so aside to this, products and services section, giving information about what the customer has purchased, invoices, orders, receipts, ledgers, more from financial transaction, complete audit log of everything, whatever he has purchased, everything is included in one place. Okay, product and services, if you are a product manager wanting to look at your portfolio of services, you get your product and services, look at all of them. You can send custom emails as well to your customers. You can, RackNap is integrated with, MailChimp or SendGrid, or with an SMS gateway, with which you can send, for example, mass email campaigns, or send SMS alerts as well for invoice reminders, etc. too. Right? Also, on top of it, RackNap also helps you to create promotion codes as well, whereby you can say give different promotions for different periods as well. And you can say give a discount of 10% for anyone who is buying an Office 365 product. Okay, and if he's buying, let's say, an annual plan, then you define when will this appear, and also define the duration, the percentages, etc. And also, most important thing is you can define whether you want to apply this promotion for the existing customers or new customers as well. So when this is done, set up, you will be, whenever a customer makes a purchase and applies this code, he will get that 10% discount, provided he subscribes to, further provided he is able to fulfill some of the conditions down below. Okay, so pretty powerful feature for running campaigns and promotions, etc. Okay, from a sales perspective, renewal forecast for any business to survive in a healthy way, it needs to have a good pipeline of customers and a good subscription recurring monthly revenue, right? So when you are running a business, you obviously would be very keen to ensure that your forecast is a healthy forecast, and then you start actively pursuing those customers to convert that as well. So if you want to look at number of services which are expiring the next one day to understand how much is your sales forecast going to be, you provide all the options in here. You can select the forecast on a per product basis, per on a billing cycle basis, etc., and also follow up on an account manager basis as well. So when you do that, the system gives you complete details about the total number of customers as well, and the total value in terms of the revenue what you can expect as well. So all of these are very handy to have when you're having a productive account manager meeting as well. It gives pretty low level details about all the information. Okay, and then orders, list of all the orders created on the platform is here. And also, for example, as we talked earlier, you will have your own IP. How do you deliver that IP to the customer, or how do you charge for that and deliver that to the customer? So here, RackNap gives you a workflow-based mechanism to be able to define, okay, how do you deliver this, let's say, manual delivery product, and what are all the different stages involved? For example, it says for a manual add-on, what you want to deliver, there is a sales queue you have created. This guy will have to do this requirement or satisfy this, or billing team from these two people will have to do this activity, etc., etc. So whenever a manual delivery product comes in, it is activated to be delivered as per the sequence of steps mentioned here, right? So which means at any point of time you would really have complete clarity of at what stage of delivery cycle that particular item is. Okay, aside to this, there are invoices and receipts, etc., giving you information about list of all the invoices in the system, receipts, etc., as well. Okay, and then there are, for example, as we talked about earlier, support tickets. The customer can actually create support tickets in here. Announcements, if you are having platform upgrades, etc., you can make announcements in here. Knowledge base articles as well, so whereby it gives plenty of information around how you are able to configure products, what each section does, etc., etc. Quite a in-depth array of details for you to look at as well. Okay, and now there are, for example, reports available with which you can look at detailed information about the performance of your business, etc., as well. Okay, and coming up to the fag end of the platform capabilities, aside to what we saw earlier, there are capabilities whereby you can add new packages in here, which gives a list of all the products which are available here. You can create your own plan from here as well, and you can set up your own margins based on whatever you need. Those are some of the things which are already feasible on the platform. And one very important thing, being a CSP, you will be wondering, oh, this number of SKUs what Microsoft offers is huge. How do I get this uploaded on a monthly basis? Very painful, right? So to avoid that complexity, RackNap gives the ability to upload the pricing sheet from the Partner Center portal here, with which the entire CSP catalog gets listed here with the cost price what Microsoft was planning to charge you. And here, what RackNap is able to do is give you the capability to define, for example, the markup which you would want to apply on top of this price. So the moment you have chosen that markup and then added the appropriate plans for this particular markup, once you create a save, the system automatically creates these plans directly on the platform. So all of these capabilities already exist readily available on the platform, which means the amount of time what you have to spend on managing the system is all minimal, because most of these things are all automated, and with a self-service purchase by the customer, automatic payment by the customer, automatic upgrade by the customer, invoices sent automatically, renewal reminder sent automatically, you are able to save a significant amount of time in doing more productive stuff which can be handled in an automated way by the platform. Okay. So aside to all of this, RackNap can handle multiple currency options. Payment gateway settings are here. You can configure different taxation settings, etc., etc. And from a support perspective, there is an intelligent ticket allocation mechanism. So if you define a subject matter expert in the platform to be able to be, let's say, an AWS engineer or a Microsoft Office 365 engineer, and whenever a ticket is logged for that product, that ticket gets allocated to him or his team, right? So RackNap has the ability to do some of that as well. And I think probably one last thing I would like to add here is, you may be acquiring customers from other CSPs as a part of your customer acquisition strategy, and RackNap has built in a CSP data migration module whereby it can initiate a request or reseller relationship email to the customer, move him automatically from the original CSP to the new CSP, which will be you, etc. as well. So RackNap can help you do that as well. Okay, so to summarize everything what we have looked at so far, RackNap is an end-to-end service delivery platform, helping to you to drive anything from the customer acquisition to provisioning to ordering to provisioning to billing to support ticketing. So the end-to-end capabilities available on the platform. Okay, so let's look at a typical business case where, how does it affect the CSP's revenue by deploying a platform like this, right? So let's take, on an average, let's take a typical CSP. Look, has about 5,000 seats in a year, and on an average, if you say each seat costs you $10, it's going to make a revenue of about 600,000 USD per year. Okay? But if you look at it, the total revenue is without RackNap, which he'll anyway be doing. But with the RackNap gives you a white labeled marketplace, which is SEO optimized, which has the ability to drive more traffic to your website. So which means on an average, if you look at, let's say, 10,000 more visits to your website, which means, let's say, 300 visits a day. It's not too big a number, right? So you should be able to achieve that kind of a number with driving organic traffic to your website. And if you're even converting 1% of that, that translates to about $120,000 in additional revenue per year, right? And also, aside to this, you start selling customer with a business essential plan, and then start upselling and cross-selling, for example, with your own managed services or high-end enterprise plan, whatever it is, right? So you can, if you're able to convert at least 20 a month, then that adds to about 48,000 in your kitty for the end of the year. So you're able to see an increase in revenue about 168,000 USD if you're having on an average about 5,000 seats. Okay, this is just a sample, just to give you an idea of what are the kind of numbers which you can look at. Okay. Now, we talked about cost optimization. So, for example, if you are processing these Office 365 orders manually, you would typically take maybe about 75 minutes to process, which is 1.25 hours. So you take the call from the customer, collect all the details, go to the partner center portal, create the license, come back to your in-house billing tool, generate an invoice, send this manually. 75 minutes is gone automatically for one order, right? So with RackNap, because the customer is pretty much doing everything by himself, there's no intervention for you. So if you still want to do some intervention to do some spot checks, etc., you can allocate 10 minutes for it. So typically, if you get 5 orders in a day, you're already saving 5 hours in a day. Okay, so that's the kind of savings what you're seeing in a day. So if you are, in a mature market like the US, UK, etc., on an average, the time saved, this applies to other markets as well. So on an average, you look at about 100 hours of savings per month, and if this translates to monetary value of about 2,500 per month or $30,000 per year, right? So that's the kind of savings you're looking at when you are able to automate a number of things like this. Okay, so I hope that's given you a sense of what are the kind of benefits which you can get from a cost savings perspective, from an operational efficiency perspective as well. Okay, so with that, I'm almost coming up to the fag end of a presentation. I'll be now that we have looked at what are the direct bill requirements. Microsoft looking you to have an IP, being able to bill for that IP, to be able to have a provisioning and a billing infrastructure to provision Microsoft Office 365 services. We had a look at how RackNap is able to manage that effectively. Okay, so with that all said and done, I'll be very keen to understand, for example, do you really think that RackNap can help you fulfill that requirement based on what you just saw? I'll be very interested to listen to your feedback as well, to understand how this is solving your problem. So there is a poll on the screen. If you could help us share your insights into it, then we'll go into some Q&A sessions right after this. Okay, we'll give another 10 seconds for the poll to conclude. Okay, so more than 70% of you have said, yes, RackNap is the kind of tool which will help me to comply with this requirement and then be able to satisfy Microsoft's needs. So that's a very good majority confirming the same. And there are about 30% of the people mentioning that, hey, please share with me more details. I would like to know more about it. If you do really want to know more about it, write to us at touch@racknap.com straight away. We'll jump on a call with you to understand what your needs are and how quickly we'll be able to help you as well. Okay, so with that done, I'll be happy to take some questions now. I've seen a few questions already on the chat window. Let me start addressing them one by one. So, for example, there is a question about does this program integrate with any external financial programs? Okay, so RackNap has integrations enabled, for example, with Tally, which is an accounting tool. Aside to that, RackNap has exposed APIs for invoices, for debit notes, for credit notes, for receipts, for orders, etc., with which you can consume that API and then import that into your accounting tool. So by the way, RackNap is not an accounting tool. It's a billing software complying with your local taxation policies, etc., etc. With that, you'll be able to help manage that as well. Okay, so RackNap exposes APIs for you to be able to do that. Okay, so how does invoicing to the customer work? Customers are invoiced directly from the platform because RackNap has the ability to generate an invoice itself. However, if you do not want RackNap to do that, RackNap can help you to send that details to your invoicing system, which could be QuickBooks or Tally or Dynamics Business Central, etc., and you can generate an invoice from there as well. Both options are possible. Right? And then there is a question about, can one account work for multiple countries? For example, right now we must use Cinex for USA and Westcon for Mexico, since we are an indirect CSP reseller. Very good question. So RackNap is integrated with a couple of distributors already. We are continuously evolving, or the platform is continuously evolving by the day, whereby we are able to integrate with more distributors as we go. And we do see a real demand for this growing as well. So to answer your question, yes, we can integrate with these additional distributors as well. In fact, we are very much in advanced discussions with Cinex to get on to the design stage of this integration work as well. So we'll be able to get that working, and for your other region as well, you will be able to use the same platform to be able to deliver services to your end customers as well. Okay, so the both options are possible. And for example, how does the pricing work? So typically there is a pricing, there are different options options available. For example, if you are a very small emerging CSP wanting to get into the cloud space, there is a very simple SaaS model. For subsequent, I mean, there is no one price fits all. There's no one size fits all option. So there are CSPs who say, I'm comfortable with an upfront capex, so we have an option for them. There are CSPs who say, hey, just give me all on a monthly recurring basis. I'm happy with that. So we have flexible billing options. So please write to us at touch@racknap.com. We'll be able to understand your requirements and give you an appropriate pricing for that as well. So please get in touch with us at touch@racknap.com. Okay. And then there's another question about, was everything demoed by today work on hosted and individual deployed solutions? Yes. So RackNap can be deployed in the cloud or in your own data center as well. So if you are having a specific instance deployed for you, pretty much all the features what you saw will be available for you as well. Okay, and you can do a trial of the platform by going on to our portal racknap.com and then going into the pricing section to look at the demo options there. You can click on trial, and then we'll be able to help you with the trial provision as well. Okay. How much can I customize the look and feel, etc. So RackNap helps you to apply. For example, you upload your corporate logo, etc., which means at least from a brand recognition perspective, customers are able to recognize your brand directly and that it is your website. With regard to any other custom changes in the marketplace, you can completely customize the marketplace to your needs. The marketplace is based on WordPress, so we will give you admin rights to the WordPress marketplace. You can completely customize it as per your needs. Okay? And with regard to customer control panel, etc., there are currently not there is no ability right now, but there is work being done in the background in the roadmap to be able to give you the ability to change look and feel for control panels as well. But for the marketplace, it's already available right now. Okay. So just running past the 1 hour slot, 1 hour mark. So we'll take maybe one last question, and then we'll be happy to take subsequent queries on the email, which is touch@racknap.com. Okay, we'll wait for another 20 seconds to see if there are any last questions. Marketplace, what is the fee structure? I'm not sure I understand the question. If you're referring to, how the prices are getting displayed in the marketplace, then that is primarily driven by what you configure in the back end. But if you are referring to how the pricing for the RackNap as a product works, again, as I mentioned, there is a SaaS model of offering with a simplistic model with no customizations, etc. There are further models which helps you to customize it as per your needs. Please share with us your requirements, and we'll be able to we're happy to discuss any specifics with you directly. Okay. As I said, there are flexible payment options as well. If you are willing to go for a perpetual license model, or a one-time upfront fee, or a recurring subscription model, so we can work out some flexible billing options with you. Okay, I think we have just run out of time right now, so I hope you found the session useful. We'll be happy to hear from you on the email address what you see on the chat window, and I know 31st of August is not too far away, so if you still think you really need to desperately run to adhere to this deadline, please get in touch with us. We'll be happy to help you get onboarded and be compliant as well. So with that said, thank you all and have a great day ahead. Thank you. Bye-bye.